Wellbeing Centre is a purpose-built facility providing inclusive spaces for staff and students to connect with their faith and engage in wellbeing activities enriching their university experience. The architectural expression is one of integrity and strength, civic whilst avoiding alignment with any singular faith group. It provides a central, unified facility for groups previously scattered throughout the campus, avoiding the need for staff and students to pray in stairwells and corridors. As an education building, it's not a traditional teaching and learning facility. It's a facility that aims to broaden the education experience for our RMIT community by addressing complex societal needs. We commend RMIT for their commitment of their vision, and they're grateful for having had the chance to work with them in realising this project. Early in 2019, we completed a feasibility study to select the most suitable location for a Muslim prayer space within the RMIT campus, looking at 4 possible buildings. By the time we were engaged to carry out the whole project in February 2020, the scope broadened to become the RMIT Multifaith Wellbeing Centre, a bespoke facility accommodating a range of groups from the university community with a broad unifying umbrella of spirituality and wellness. As the tertiary sector took a solid hit with the COVID-19, so too did our budget, and a new funding partner was found in the state government. The final chosen location was a 310 square metre site centrally located within the RMIT Civic Precinct, just up the road from where we are right now. Our design intention was to create a dignified building that spoke of quality and timelessness, coming down to these 3 main ideas. The concept of architecture as a monolith, and the idea about the monolith and sort of representation and spirituality is something we've explored on sort of several other religious projects as well. From this, elements could be subtracted. The commitment to draw on history and narrative of religious buildings in form and materials. To utilise penetrations of controlled light and frame views into and from the spaces. With the development of this concept, we explored the following ideas. 3-storey massing based on program, budget and constraints provided by RMIT. Subtracting or excavating the facade to create clearly defined entry, offering shelter and public movement. Raising the quarter height in reference to religious building forms, an urban or civic gesture. Activation of the street frontage through shop level window glazing. We conducted extensive consultation.
So we conducted extensive consultation with more than 20 faith, wellbeing and cultural groups to establish a detailed brief covering functional and aspirational needs. We looked for potential usage overlaps and innovation opportunities. We talked in detail about the practice of faith, and these insightful discussions informed our program resolution, enabling us to optimise the centre's capacity while thoughtfully navigating the conflicting requirements of each group. Although no longer the sole function of the building, a significant portion of the floor area is utilised as Muslim prayer spaces. Interestingly, despite the growth of the Islam faith in our multicultural society, there are surprisingly few prayer spaces or mosques within the Melbourne CBD. Unlike Christian faiths that generally congregate weekly, Islam is the most demanding in its day-to-day practice, requiring 5 prayer sessions every day. Our architectural response enabled varied uses to occur in accessible, adaptable spaces, subtly tailored to accommodate critical liturgical and user requirements without giving prominence to any particular faith group or activity group. We explored spatial arrangements, grouping functions and arranging them across the 3-level building. One request in the brief was to provide generous circulation spaces that encouraged casual lingering and interactions. Semi-dedicated prayer and ablution spaces with capacity for expansion during festivals such as Ramadan. Multi-purpose space, maximising the number of diverse groups using the building, which was critical given the constrained site and the budget and ambitious utilisation goals. And then a smaller part of it were chaplaincy and counselling spaces located discreetly, respecting the privacy needs of those functions. And this is the volumetric arrangement cutting through the main sort of multi-purpose and prayer space areas. So the building itself, we've used stone cladding referencing monolithic structures and bronze shrouds hinting at religious art and architecture throughout history. Okay, we've recessed the entry, providing shelter and relief from the street. Internally, the foyer is an open, vertical space with a generous winding stair and a prominent reception. The materials we've used convey a sense of monumentality and gravitas through the raw, untreated finishes of the concrete and timber. We've used coloured glass to imbue the spaces with warmth and changing light. And we've created a modern, adaptable interpretation of the traditional prayer space, using banded carpet orientated towards Mecca and indicating the direction of prayer. The mihrab, from where the Islam leads the prayers, is orientated towards Mecca and lined with tiles. The smaller female prayer space is located on request in a more discreet location, and the main multi-purpose space and overflow prayer space is on the top level, is utilised by an incredibly diverse range of activity, faith and cultural groups, meeting their varied functional needs and able to be divided in half. The smaller multi-purpose space is visible from the street and is arguably the most adaptable space capable of opening out onto the main foyer. And then generously sized circulation and milling spaces facilitating busy moments and casual interactions. And finally, shoe storage, lockers and benches to accommodate the ancillary functions associated with the practice of Islamic faith. And yeah, the ablutions block for the ritual washing prior to prayer. And these are just some other glimpses.
Fantastic. Thank you.